Hello folks, Dixie Railfan Productions here. Welcome back to another railfanning video. Today I am back in Chattanooga, Tennessee, specifically Grand Junction Station, to catch some final trains before I headed home. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The first train we would see would be an eastbound grain train with the AC 6000 from Union Pacific that was number 7329 leading. These AC 6000s are very hard to find, and I was lucky enough to spot one. And NS locomotives number 4582 and 4826 were trailing second. The next train would be the partial reason why I came back, because there was a special heritage unit, 1071, the Central Railroad of New Jersey Heritage Unit on Norfolk Southern 44J, which is a grain train that goes between Millamine, Illinois, and Garden City, Georgia. Although locomotive number 1083 was leading and 4651 was trailing second, 1071 was trailing third. But at least I was lucky enough to catch that heritage unit. But as this train was passing through, the TVRM Missionaries local train would eventually block the view. But at least I got to see the heritage unit. As soon as this train passed, we have another eastbound train as a manifest train would roll by. Locomotives number 4098 and 7548 were leading, and 4624 was the rear DPU. Next, we would see Train 100, the Missionary Ridge Local, which operates on TVRM trackage. This train originates from Grand Junction Station and terminates into East Chattanooga Depot, and then eventually he heads back to Grand Junction Station. So this is actually a turn job, as this is actually a tourist excursion train. Locomotive number 4617 was leading. If you remember correctly, I actually rode behind this locomotive, so be sure to check out the previous couple videos that I did have of this locomotive, and I rode behind it. So as you just saw before, the train was actually heading to East Chattanooga, but he was facing the wrong way towards the NS line. So what he had to do was to go past the switch on the Y, then turn around on the Y, and then there's another switch, and then he'll eventually head westbound to East Chattanooga. I know this might be very confusing, but trust me, this is actually very simple to understand. I'm pretty sure some of y'all might know this. But this is how the locomotive and the cars actually get to East Chattanooga, by reversing and then going forward in the right direction. And when they reach East Chattanooga, there's a turntable, if you remember correctly, and the locomotive turns around and couples onto the other end of the train and heads back to Grand Junction Station, where they originally started from. And that clearly is how this excursion is operated. Though sometimes on the Y he might operate in a different direction, where he eventually turns around on the Y before arriving back at Grand Junction. It generally depends on how TVRM wants to operate the trains, but normally facing the wrong way of the Y. But anyways, the next train we would get is an intermodal train. Locomotives number 4216, 4321, and 1099 were leading. And on the rear of the train were auto racks. Well, folks, if you all enjoyed this video, please smash the like button down below, subscribe for more content, and turn on notifications so you don't miss an upload, and also let me know what you think of the video in the comment sections below. Anyways, the last train we would see would be Train 100, the Missionary Ridge Local with 4617 leading, returning from East Chattanooga and heading to Grand Junction Station. And while he was returning to the station, this is the footage I got as I was actually getting lunch. And in the middle of the process of that, this is the only place I can get him. And with that, that concludes my rail fanning adventures of Chattanooga and Grand Junction Station to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Well guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, and happy 4th of July to every single one of y'all.